when I'm trying to figure that out, is to go to the reading and kind of keep digging at it, tearing it apart, seeing what's there. So let's just rehearse some of those things that happen in the reading from the second chapter of John's Gospel. And let me say this, I would remind you that of all four of our Gospels, John's the one that requires the most imagination, because John is full of metaphors and symbols and things that are one level about one thing, but point to a whole nother level. So let your imagination be a little soft today. Because this reading started with weird words. It was the third day. Third day after what? The third day when? The 3rd of March, the 3rd of November, the 3rd of 3. Third day, John's Gospel, always about resurrection. Always about Easter Sunday. Always about the day when transformation happens. So John very intentionally writes down on the 3rd day, on the Transformation Day, Jesus did the first of his miracles. Jesus, the disciples, and his mother, all of them are at this wedding. Here, early in his ministry, all we've read in chapter 1 so far is John telling us that Jesus was baptized, and Jesus called his disciples, and then boom, first public act at a wedding. It's not at the seaside. It's not at Peter's mother-in-law's house. It's not at a place of healing. He's not multiplying the loaves and the fishes for the hungry crowd. He's not teaching the Sermon on the Mount. The first public act of his ministry is apparently at a wedding of his friends. Let that touch our lives, because we've all been there. We may not have been at the seaside in Galilee sitting at the feet of a teacher, but we've all been at a wedding of family and friends. That's where John places Jesus. Mama says, son, help this family not lose face. They've run out of wine. It will never do to run out of wine at a Jewish wedding. The whole town is at this wedding. You must do something, Jesus. And Jesus' response is, Mom, this is like so not our problem. Huh? And then he says, my hour has not yet come. What is going on here between Mama and Jesus? Well, I think what's going on is really spoken to in the very next words that come out of Mama's mouth, because as mothers are wont to do sometimes, she completely ignored what her son had said, and not only ignored it, but presumed he would do the right thing anyway. Because her next words are to the servants, do what he tells you. Don't you love it? Because have we not all been there with our kids, trusting that they'll do the right? At which point, Jesus does, in fact, tell them something to do. He tells them to fill these 6 enormous water jugs with water. And can't you see those servants rolling their eyes? I do not have a clue, but I think it must take a lot of pails of water to fill these water jars that hold up to 30 gallons each. So there they are, out at the well, filling those water jugs. And then he tells them to draw out a goblet and take it to the wedding planner. I think that's who the steward of the feast was. And if you've been at a wedding where there's a wedding planner, my experience of wedding planners is that clergy call them Nazis, because they really do take charge and kind of organize and order everybody around. And so Jesus says, take this water to the wedding planner, who tastes it and then goes to the groom and says, why, you crazy man, you saved the best wine for the last. It seems like a waste of really good wine, but hey, it's your wedding. And then John adds, this was the first of his signs that he did in Cana. Is that not a great in your imagination begin to see that there's all these levels of meaning going on here. I want to look at just three. I want to talk about timing. We moved from Christmas to Epiphany when the Magi arrived at the manger. That was just a week ago this past Wednesday. Last Sunday we celebrated the baptism because that's always what comes after the visit of the Magi. Jesus is baptized so ministry can begin. Think about it. All those years from the birth to the baptism, and we don't really know for sure because we've lost any record of those years, but we can presume a good number of them were spent with Jesus being raised in a good Jewish home by good Jewish parents. Mary, this daughter of God who was surrounded by mystery, angels and words and consternation by Anna in the temple, surrounded by portents from the time of her pregnancy through the birth, and now as she watches her son finally emerge on the public scene. Mary knew something was up with this kid, and she raised him to love justice, do kindness, and walk humbly with God. Those are the Jewish teachings for raising up a child in the way they should go. Can't you just hear her say, when Jesus says, "My hour has not yet come," can you not hear her say, "Boy, I don't know what time you think it is, but now is the time when this family needs something.